Okay, we are rolling. We are rolling, brother. Champions of Champions boxing talk here. Well, a very bizarre fight coming up this weekend. It's a case of somebody that's done it all v somebody that's done nothing. What a combination. Anthony Yarde v Sergey Kovalev. Now, it's a fight also of the unknown, isn't it? I mean, off evidence, most light heavyweights struggle with Sergey Kovalev's jab. Most light heavyweights, if they get hit flush by Sergey Kovalev, many have been knocked out. So, the laws of average say that he should win this fight. But he's fighting an unknown quantity. So, you just never know, basically. But Anthony Yarde has not fought anybody that is considered really good, even at domestic British level. He's basically being thrown in at the deep end in this. Now, I know people are saying Sergey Kovalev is not the fighter that he was. And I've heard people connected with Anthony Yarde say that Sergey Kovalev is there for the taking. But how do they know that Anthony Yarde is the man to take advantage of a past prime fighter? See, it's one thing fighting a past it fighter. It's another thing having the tools to beat him. Right? Now, Hatman Boxing mentioned that Sergey Kovalev will face the guy with the best reflexes, the best power, the best other aspects that he's ever faced in Anthony Yarde. But that is all relative. You can put a amateur runner running with people that are badly out of shape, and I don't mean overweight, but they could be skinny but not fit at all, and they will make that amateur runner look like an Olympian. They'll make that amateur runner look elite. They will. Anthony Yarde looks powerful, fast, crisp. Right? He has this admiration for Floyd Mayweather's defense. And, of course, an admiration for Manny Pacquiao's legacy. But he can look brilliant against the level he's fighting, because the level he's fighting are the equivalent to what I've just said. The amateur runner, the novice. Complete novices. The amateur runner is going to look like an elite athlete. Who's to say that Anthony Yarde, this is not just a mirage we're seeing? It could be. We don't know. So, for Hatman, and he says a lot of things that I think is really good, but that bit I have to disagree. All of Anthony Yarde's power is hitting chins that are not elite. They're hitting bodies that are not elite. They're hitting fighters that are far from even considered, class at the domestic level. Sergey Kovalev, to me, is no more elite. He's now, gone down to, say, A level, shall we say. But that's still levels above what Anthony Yarde has faced. And we underestimate Sergey Kovalev's experience. His footwork. I mean, this is a guy that was among the top 5 pound for pound not too long ago. He gave Andre Ward in that first fight the toughest battle Andre Ward has ever had. Andre Ward was considered by many the pound for pound best. So you're not just talking about a guy that keeps you comfortable at range and knocks you out. Sergey Kovalev can box and, put up a good boxing display against the best of them. Andre Ward, for instance, could not fight long against Kovalev for long. He had to find a way in the end to get in the inside and break him down to the body. This is Andre Ward we're talking about, right? We're not talking just the guy off the street. We're not talking a novice. We're not talking an A-level fight. We're talking Andre Ward. Some people have Andre Ward among the best super middleweights that have ever lived. And Sergey Kovalev, to some people, beat him in that first fight. He dropped him. When them two guys were at a distance, Kovalev was getting the better of it. The jab was functioning. His power was troubling Ward. The feet was surprising. Even in the second fight, I know Andre Ward stops Sergey Kovalev. Controversial shots down below, but let's just say one thing. It was nip and tuck for a lot of that even second fight. I know Kovalev didn't do quite as well, nowhere near as well in fact, but still, it was a good 8 rounds he put in there against the best pound for pound. But the blueprint from Andre Ward was to get inside and work that body. That is what Anthony Yarde's got to do. Now, I think that because of natural size, Anthony Yarde is a bigger puncher than Andre Ward, right? Does he have the guile to get in the inside and work that body of Kovalev? Does he have the spirit when he does get hit hard to get up like Andre Ward did? And when the boxing is not working, bite down on the gum shield and fight. These are questions we don't know about Anthony Yarde, right? He could go in there and obliterate Kovalev. But will he? We don't know. Sergey Kovalev has fought, real good competition. I know people are talking about the Jalemba fight on Sergey Kovalev's home soil, where many people, myself included, thought that was a subpar performance from Sergey Kovalev. But Jalemba has fought at a higher level than Anthony Yarde. He looks more awkward than Anthony Yarde as a fighter, right? Anthony Yarde's skills may prove to be primitive at this level. We don't know. Somebody said this week that if Anthony Yarde was to win, it would be like when Ricky Hatton beat Costa Tszyu. It's nothing like Ricky Hatton beating Costa Tszyu. Do you know why? Prior to Ricky Hatton fighting Costa Tszyu, Ricky Hatton had dominated, won at least 11 of 12 rounds against the veteran Vince Phillips that had beaten Costa Tszyu by knockout. He's only one of 2 guys, along with Hatton, to beat Costa Tszyu. And Ricky Hatton beat the man that beat Costa Tszyu before he fought Costa Tszyu. Right? Then there was Ray Oliveira, who Ricky Hatton obliterated, that, went the distance with a couple of the top 140-pound fighters at the time. There was that domestic fighter, his name escapes me now, but him and Ricky Hatton went to war, and he really tested Ricky Hatton's toughness and his character. And Ricky Hatton come through it. I'll be honest, on the night when Ricky Hatton stepped in the ring with Costa Tszyu, I might have been one of the few, but no, actually I wasn't. And I'm telling you, it wasn't just people that were Ricky Hatton fans from Manchester. I actually thought Ricky Hatton on the night would beat Costa Tszyu. I thought that they were overlooking Ricky Hatton. I thought that they sort of didn't realise how good Ricky Hatton was. Right? Ricky Hatton, the night he walked in with Costa Tszyu, we didn't know he was an elite fighter, but we knew he was world class. Right? And he only had one level to step up to equal Costa Tszyu's level, who was pound for pound, I think, number 3 at the time. Right? But Ricky Hatton was a excellent fighter. Would beat, hands down, most domestic UK 140-pound fighters. Was beating at a canter a lot of very good 140-pound European level fighters. Right? World level fighters. Some of them, yes, you might say Vince Phillips was not at his prime, but that was a very savvy veteran. And for a young fighter, Ricky Hatton dominated most of the rounds. So he had this experience going in the Costa Tszyu fight. Right? There's no... He'd beaten Benteke. Very rugged fighter. Very tough fighter. very savvy fighter, world level 140-pound fighter. Ricky Hatton had beaten him and Vince Phillips before he stepped in the ring with Costa Zoo. Anthony Yarde has no evidence. He's never done any of those things. So if Anthony Yarde beats Sergey Kovalev, that would be, to me, perhaps an even bigger shock. Because Hatton come from something to be a top elite fighter. Yarde is coming from nothing to try and be a A-level fighter. You know, it is a step up. A step up of the highest order. But like I say, I can only tell you how I think Anthony Yarde has to go about beating Sergey Kovalev. You know, he has to get close. He can't admire and try and, outbox Sergey Kovalev, because Sergey Kovalev is a underrated boxer. But I do know when you work his body, he is reminiscent of Keith Thurman. The difference is, I think Sergey Kovalev's mentality can break easier than Keith Thurman. You can hurt Keith Thurman to the body, and he is obviously very hurt, but he carries on. He fights through the pain. He's a guy that goes to work when he's got toothache and still does 8 hours. That's Keith Thurman. Sergey Kovalev mentally breaks. He did in the second Andre Ward fight. I think he was a little bit in the first. Right? Again, tremendous skills. But, the rumours about him struggling with Triple G, who's a middleweight, in sparring, don't come from nowhere, in my opinion. I think Golovkin was hurting Kovalev. Put it this way, Canelo Alvarez was doing some withering body work against Gennady Golovkin. But Canelo couldn't shift him. Golovkin found a way to get right back in that fight. Because he's made a stronger character than Sergey Kovalev. He is. I think pound for pound, if Kovalev was taking those body shots, I think he'd have suffered a lot more than Golovkin did. Golovkin sucked that up. And he said, right, well, you're giving me this work, but my character is going to come through it. And that's exactly what you saw. That's what got Triple G back into the position where, again, many people thought that fight was nip and tuck. Myself included, I thought Golovkin won both fights. But it's that character. I don't think Sergey Kovalev, if he's taking that sort of punishment, would be able to get to that predicament. Right? Anthony Yarde was talking about his luggage being taken and stuff like this. Maybe that's Kovalev giving him a compliment. I don't know. Maybe they think that Yarde is the real deal. But, one thing I did agree with Hatman on was, why has Anthony Yarde not been tested with domestic rivals up to this point? Are they cashing in, Do they either think that he is ready straight to go to the top? Or do they think that he is a flash in the pan, so they're going to make some money while they can? It's one of them two things. Either Frank Warren thinks that, this guy's good enough to just go to the top level and take it from there, or he's not top level stuff, let's get a payday while we can. As I said, it's either one of them two things. Someone also said, look at Lomachenko. He was a world champion within a very small number of professional fights. Again, you can't compare Lomachenko. Lomachenko had hundreds of amateur fights, which do count. They do count for something. I know it's a different thing, pros and amateur, but people dismiss the amateurs too much. When you've had hundreds of amateur fights, it does lend you some experience. It really does. Anthony Yarde, though, has had 11. And you can bet your bottom dollar Lomachenko beat at amateur level some of the best they had to offer. Yarde hasn't. Can anybody tell me a C-level fighter that Anthony Yarde has beaten? Anyone? You over there? No? Exactly. So, it's a fight of unknown, but I'm just thinking Sergey Kovalev's jab will be a shock because Yarde hasn't faced that. How can you know before you faced it? Maybe he does. Maybe he is special. I don't know. But again, Yarde looks tremendous against the level he's fighting. But again, I say this. You could put in the ring right now, lads from my estate in with Roy Jones Jr. and they would make this version of Roy Jones Jr. look like Roy Jones of his prime. The Roy Jones that beat James Toney. Again, it's relative. You see, Jim Watt said something years ago about what it's like fighting a decent fighter at club level, domestic level, versus an elite fighter. And he said, when you fight an elite fighter, the great things that worked for you against everyone else you faced, against your lower competition, stop working. They don't work against the elite fighter. It's like you've just been decoded completely. And you have to find a new gear. Anthony Yarde may have to find a new gear at some point. Question is, can he find it? Right? Who knows? Maybe the first shot he lands on Kovalev, he knocks him down. Maybe he can get to the body, because at the level Anthony Yarde's fighting at, I do see a good body puncher. I do see a fast fighter. But again, I have to take it into perspective and say that the guys he's doing this to are not anywhere near the level that, a Sergey Kovalev offers. I've seen Kovalev bother great fighters with that jab. I've seen Sergey Kovalev knock out top fighters with his power punches. I've seen Sergey Kovalev move around the ring very well. For all Kovalev is past his prime, people say, and I agree, he's not quite the fighter he was. I've seen him pass the test of adversity. Yes, he lost to Alvarez, but he bounced back, didn't he? Right? This is all the stuff he's got in his locker. Anthony Yarde may get hit with the first punch and it could be over in the first round, we don't know. Or Anthony Yarde may have the skills and the reflexes to be evasive. Or Anthony Yarde may turn out to have a granite chin and break Sergey Kovalev down. We could be talking about a new era. But I highly doubt it. I just think that this is one of the sharpest jumps I've seen. People talk about what Anthony Joshua's done in 22 fights. But Anthony Yarde is fighting one of the best light heavyweights of the era off the basis of nothing. It's like, I don't know, a welterweight at white, what do they call it? The white collar level. Going up and fighting Errol Spence. Now, for all I know, this kid might be a genius and beat Errol Spence, but I wouldn't count on it. Not because the guy is not talented, but just the fact that he's never been there before. It's kind of like you might have, say, a human being who is the potential to be a great Olympic swimmer. But if they've never had a swimming lesson and you throw them in the water, they're not suddenly going to become Olympians and swim like a fish. It could happen the odd time, but most times it doesn't. They sink and they struggle and they panic and you've got to help them. Right? Most times, this is the same thing we was asking of Conor McGregor v Floyd Mayweather. I know Yarde is a professional boxer, but still, I'm trying to find comparisons because this is a tall order. He's not at home either, Anthony Yarde. That may help him, though. Sergey Kovalev might feel the pressure. He did in the Jalemba fight a bit to me. Right? But, every now and then you get somebody that looks like Susan Boyle, stands on a stage and you think, my God, what is this? And then she opens her mouth to sing and the voice of an angel comes out. And you think, oh my God, that is a moment to never forget. But it's rare. It is rare. Anthony Yarde may be that. Susan Boyle was basically a lonely lady alone in a house with, just four walls to look at, and then she stood on the stage with hardly any experience and was competing with Mariah Carey. It does happen, but it is rare. It is rare to go from the couch to to compete with Celine Dion as a singer. It is rare to go from real low level, as Anthony Yarde has gone from, to even be a past it prime Sergey Kovalev. These are the things we're talking about, right? He could be a potential genius, Anthony Yarde. I don't know. He believes he is, He says he lives in this bubble. One of the things I did like what he said, the only thing that can affect you is what you accept. There's all sorts of things out in the world and in the environment, right? But it's how you respond to them. If you let them in your world, it's your fault that they affect you then. But they're outside, they don't have to be inside. You keep inside your bubble and nothing out there can hurt you. So maybe that belief can carry him somewhere. If somebody insults you and tries to bring you down and you get upset about it, you've basically insulted yourself by giving their words so much value to let yourself be brought down. So he's a smart guy, Anthony Yarde, right? I just think you could sort of keep yourself too much in a box and a bubble, and I think there's a time to do that. Like, come out the bubble and sort of know what you're preparing for. Get the right sparring in there. And then go back to the bubble when you think you've got everything cornered off and you're certain to win. Maybe he's done that, I don't know. Maybe Sergey Kovalev is underrating Anthony Yarde. We don't know. That could play a key. Maybe he gets old, real old. He's not been... I've heard all sorts of stupid rumours about Kovalev lately, which I'm not liking the sound of. It's very distracting. Or Kovalev may be so angry with the headlines he's getting, he turns in a vintage performance. We won't know till the fight night. But pressing me now for a prediction, I just think that Yarde may be in for a shock. And I think that possibly even, a 80% to 70% Sergey Kovalev may be enough to take this fight between, 6 to 8 rounds. I think Anthony Yarde will get a shock when he feels the power, when he feels the boxing skills, and when he realises that it's not as easy as it looks to get on there on the inside and work that body, because world-class fighters have done that. We don't know yet if Anthony Yarde is world-class, but that is just an hallucination from me. This prediction is an hallucination. I don't know. I don't have evidence. I cannot, right now, as judge and jury, I can't come out and convict Anthony Yarde of losing the fight because I don't have evidence of what he's like at the world-class level. I can only say Anthony Yarde will come away not guilty because I don't have evidence to suggest that he gets beat. I just think he gets beat, but that's not enough because there's reasonable doubt. There's reasonable doubt in Kovalev and there's reasonable doubt in Anthony Yarde. But I'm just edging the experience of an hallucination. And the fact that Anthony Yarde has not fought at this level before. But there's a first time for everything. But most times in boxing, there is at least a little build-up in levels before you fight an A-level guy. But this is a different kettle of fish altogether. So good luck to Anthony Yarde. This is Champions of Champions Boxing Talk. I'm out, brother.